the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old. The pines were roaring on the height, the winds were moaning in the night. The fire was red, it flaming spread. The trees like torches blazed with light.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Showtime. On this episode, I will be reviewing Peter Jackson's The Hobbit. That's right, The Hobbit. And I saw it in 3D, 48 frames a second, high frame rate. Very, very nice. Joining me on this review, because as you can tell, this is a podcast, so obviously I'm not doing this solo. We have my good friend, CEO, my boss, James Phoenix.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and we should probably specify here, due to the fact that Peter Jackson needs to unnecessarily elongate everything, this is part 1 of 3 of the fucking Hobbit.
Correct.
And most of which is not the actual Hobbit.
It's an expansion series, but we'll get into that after the review.
That's an official title, The Unexpected Journey, if you want to, mention that.
There you go.
Who cares? And as you people have no doubt realized by now, we have a female contingent today. A new member, the newest member of the X-Pound, Geeky Girl.
Bringing girls to the internet.
No, proving girls exist on the internet. If you're going to do a catchphrase, do it right.
Hey, shut up.
No, I'm the CEO. I'm in charge here. You can't tell me to shut up.
Yes, I can.
No,
anyway, moving on.
And also, if you couldn't tell, ladies and gentlemen, James Phoenix and Geeky Girl are in fact dating each other.
No, not officially. No, we went to one movie. That does not constitute dating.
Oh, you hurt my feelings now, but we're gonna move on now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Professionalism, please.
Yeah.
We're really gonna
This is why this is recording. So we can edit this out.
Review.
We can edit this out later.
No, it's not getting edited out.
Fuck you.
Anyway, so yes, The Hobbit. A little background from my perspective. As I've mentioned on more than one occasion in more than one video, my favorite movie trilogy of all time is Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings. I do happen to own the extended edition. I will also be reviewing that extended edition, or quite possibly the Blu-ray one if I can find it, sometime later. So having said that, I did go in with some expectations for The Hobbit. Suffice it to say, this is no Lord of the Rings. But in its own right, it is a great movie, and if you've seen our Best of 2012 video, it was good enough to get my Best Movie of the Year award, beating out The Amazing Spider-Man, which, quite simply put, was an amazing movie. So,
okay.
Go ahead.
I think we're gonna.
I was just gonna say that I didn't like The Amazing Spider-Man, so things beating it wouldn't be a hard to do, but that's besides the point. Okay, moving on.
Trashed on your own show. Burn.
It's okay. It's a different thing. There were things I liked about it, but that's another review.
Mm-hmm. But yes, so The Hobbit. Like I said, I saw it in 3D. I do recommend that if you see this movie in the theater, go see it in 3D. Make sure it's 48 frames a second. You guys saw it not in 48 frames a second, and I think you have varying opinions as to whether it looked good.
I don't know if it was or not, because it didn't say a damn thing, so I have no idea. It could have been for all I know.
I think it was the low res just because everything here is cheap. But anyway, I liked it. I thought it was really good.
$10.50 for a damn movie. That ain't cheap.
Well, considering that most of the 3D I've ever seen in the movie theaters was absolutely god awful terrible, and that's why I was so apprehensive in seeing this in 3D. The only other thing I could possibly compare this to as to how good the 3D was when I saw Final Destination 5. Yeah, that one was really,
AKA
really good
every other Final
3D.
Destination movie rehashed.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the 3D was equally as good as it was in that one, which was like awesome and a nice breather from all the terrible 3D. So now I don't have to be horribly afraid every time I'm thinking about going to a 3D movie.
And what was your experience with 3D, Jim?
I thought it varied depending on the portion of the movie. There were some parts that looked really, really awesome that I liked, and there were some parts where like you forgot that it was in 3D.
True.
And anytime they put text on the screen, it was blurry as hell.
I will agree with that because
Oh,
they
I didn't see any
made the
blurry.
text 3D. It was kind of it wasn't.
Well, but what do you do
focused.
with text, like when it's on the screen and when it's 3D? Like obviously the text has to be in 3D because in all movies
Which is
that
fine,
are
but that doesn't mean
3D,
it
the
has to be.
text is always 3D. You
Which is
can't
fine.
make
That
the
doesn't,
text not 3D because then everyone would
the
be
text
asking
can
why
be
is the
3D.
text not in 3D?
The text can be 3D. It doesn't need to be blurry 3D.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't blurry for me. Maybe your eyes are wrong. I'm the one with glasses.
Oh, maybe that's why it looked good to me because I wear glasses. But yeah,
Hey,
for
you
my
weren't wearing
money,
your
it was.
glasses.
For my money,
I was wearing 3D glasses. What are you talking about?
There we go.
I wore my 3D glasses and the glasses.
But yeah, I saw it like I said in
6
3D, 48 frames a second, and to me it was gorgeous. All the scenery was great. It wasn't too overly gimmicky, even though the entire movie was in 3D, which surprised me. The only other 3D movie I've seen was the last Harry Potter movie, which I thought they did very well with the 3D they used. In The Hobbit, Peter Jackson did pretty much what they did in Harry Potter, which is most of the 3D they used to add depth to the environments to make it seem like you were inside the place. Like when they were in Goblin Town, because it was in 3D, you felt like you were in this ginormous cavern filled with goblins. And it's just like, oh crap. And because the whole movie was in 3D, as Geeky Girl mentioned, half the time you almost forgot it was in 3D until it did something. You were like, oh, wait a minute, this is in 3D, and I can look around and I can see depth. And that's just a testament to how well it was shot, I think.
Yeah, and it
Only
was
part of the
like
3D.
in-depth 3D, like not the outward like
Yeah.
like in your face like cheap 3D, but it was like you could see kind of like the 3DS 3D where it's like you can see farther in rather than out.
Yeah.
The only part of the 3D that really jumped out at me, I mean, like at the beginning, when it first started doing like Gandalf's talking to Bill, I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. I should probably mention to preface this, not a huge deal, but we came in like 5 minutes into the movie because I got there late for circumstances I won't go into. So as a result, we just like we
Thrown a
came
car.
yeah, I know. At least my car still works. Anyway, yeah, I got there a little late, so I came in as Bilbo was like smoking his pipe, and the voiceover was going on, and Gandalf walked up to him and said the unexpected journey. So that was right about where I came in.
Really? Oh, that means you
So,
missed the previews. Bad
yes,
Jim.
Mr. Previews.
I know, I missed Frodo's
Sorry.
cameo.
Anyway, yeah, so I did the Elijah Wood bookend cameo.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I noticed the 3D there, and the other part I remember the 3D really jumping out at me was at the end where they escape the orcs and they're flying on the eagles around the mountain. That really looked awesome.
By the way, spoiler alert.
If they're watching a review of this, they can expect spoilers.
Hey, there's such things as
Yeah,
spoilers.
I prefer saying spoiler alert because I've actually turned off a review, like when they said spoiler alert and watched it and finished it after I watched it.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yeah,
so the eagles flying on the eagles around the mountain was pretty awesome. Near the end was pretty awesome. I like that. That looked really good in 3D. That was one of the few things that really stood out to me in the 3D.
I've read some reviews of the 3D one where people are saying at 48 frames a second, sometimes it's too fast or things get blurry. And that is true in 3D if it's up close to you, if it's like right in front of your face and it's frenetic action like some of the battle scenes. Yeah, it did get kind of blurry, but for the most part, it was fluid. One thing about 48 frames per second high def is that, and especially in 3D and it's that big, most of the time you can tell when things are CG. That's not always a good thing. Especially when it's like liquid CG. It's like, oh, that just doesn't look right. But as a testament to how well Peter Jackson shot the movie, most of the time when the CG was up there, you didn't even notice it, or you forgot that part of it was in CG, because in 3D it immersed you into the environment and into the world of Tolkien, into the world of Middle-earth. And I think in 2D it wouldn't have been able to do that. It certainly still would have been a great movie, but I felt the immersiveness of the 3D experience with this movie, personally.
Fair enough.
What do you guys
I
think?
agree.
Yeah.
I think he's very fluent in and out. Like, you weren't taken out of the experience by any visuals or anything. I was completely taken by, like, when I watched it, like, all the way through, I was like, wow, was that really just, like, 3 hours? Like, I was just, like, I didn't even think it felt like an hour and a half.
It did.
'Cause I was just so into it, and
It did fly by. It was surprising how quickly it went. I thought it was going to feel like it was dragging, but it did not. The only thing that took me out of it a little bit, where I had to take my glasses off for a second, was the when Bilbo puts on the ring and they put that fucking blur effect because he's in ring mode. That hurt my eyes.
Yeah.
did it really? Well, I wasn't affected by it.
Yeah, me neither, but I could see that affecting you.
Well, I'll say just I would say the only thing that took me out a little bit was the whole I can never say his name. Brown wizard name starts with the letter
Radagast?
R. Him and his like whole
Radagast,
bit,
yeah.
like Radagast. His
Radagast
whole
and
thing
his
felt a little
bunnies.
like ADD for me, and I felt like it should have been like a disc bonus extra or something. Like it should have been incorporated in the movie, but.
Yeah, that kind of took me out of it.
Other than that, like I still found him very enjoyable. I just found it seemed like a wrong place for him. But like it's fine. I still like that.
It felt like
Gandalf can't
Radagast
say the
was
word
channeling
necromancer
like
without making me laugh.
it felt like Radagast was channeling like the Ralph Bakshi cartoons.
Yeah, like, and I
The
didn't
what
like how
cartoons?
much comic relief there was in the Wizards. Like, I felt like they should have been taken a little bit more seriously. Like, I don't like how he's using his wizard power and his eyes get all weird. And, like, that shouldn't happen. Like, he should be able to have, like, serious wizard points as well as, like, being funny and stuff. And I think there was also too much comic relief with Gandalf, too.
That was showing you that he had serious wizard power, like Gandalf mentioned. That he was
Yeah,
a powerful
but they have
wizard in
to
his
give
own.
him why do they have to give him a stupid look while he's doing his serious wizard power? Like why can't he just do his wizard power? Why does he have to cross his eyes and make him look funny and stuff? Like Gandalf doesn't have to like put on a special top hat over his regular hat and do a dance to like make someone like come back to life or whatever, or any magical power.
It's because the power overwhelmed him. That was an involuntary facial expression because he was trying to bring his poor little hedgehog friend back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
And he didn't have any Chaos Emeralds handy.
I really liked it, but I wanted him to be taken like more seriously. Plus, he had like the bird crap on the side of his face, which I found really distracting.
Yep, I have to agree with Geeky Girl. I thought Radagast was made too much of a comical character, not enough, especially for the tone of the Lord of the Rings series in general and this movie. This movie had quite a serious tone for most of the movie, and then Radagast comes in, and to equate it to something that we're all fans of, it's kind of like Bulk and Skull coming out of nowhere for no reason. Seriously, that's like the music that was going through my head the instant Radagast hit the screen. I was like, really? And like Geeky Girl said, I would have liked to have seen him do some serious voodoo, some power magic. He does the healing and stuff like that, but he doesn't do anything like Gandalf. Like, Gandalf in this movie is a fucking wizard. He comes in and just starts blasting goblins out of the way. I'm like, holy crap, he's an actual wizard in this one. And then Radagast comes in, he's like, I'm a wizard too.
Yeah, not totally. He only does it twice. As Geeky Girl pointed out to you in the movie, you only get so many Gandalf saves.
Well, I was just going by the book, and because in the book, which I've read way too many times, in the book, he only gets so many Gandalf saves, and that's why he like runs away. And I feel like I can't exactly explain it, but I feel like he's getting more Gandalf saves when he comes back. Like that's where he's running off to. Like.
No, I just think in this movie they're treating him more like a wizard, more like a magic user. He doesn't fight that much in this movie. He blasts things with magic in this movie more than he fights. in my opinion. Like, especially compared
He
to Lord
runs
of the
through the
Rings.
damn
the
goblin
sword
king
is the
stabbing
one.
shit with a sword.
That was his one fight.
Yeah, but like in the last, in the Lord of the Rings, he actually did
He also
a
showed.
sword like a lot.
He also showed up with the 3 trolls, and he cracked the stone open and turned them into stone.
Magic.
He didn't. Well, yeah. Well, in the book, Bilbo kind of like had more to do with that than anybody else.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit
So
about
that
the
was
acting.
them.
First of all, lack of estrogen in this movie.
Sausage fest.
Pretty
Hey,
much.
they had the really hot mystical chick that Geeky Girl said had a bitch face in the last movie.
I don't like Galadriel. I just don't. It's not my fault. I don't like her.
I thought Kate Blanchett.
Okay, she's not like Eowyn was cool and Arwen was awesome, but Galadriel, meh. Well, because like, and being like a mystical fairy, like kind of fae like creature, is like it's always such a chick role, and like how many mystical like sightseeing guys have there been? Like, and I mean not the BS kind like Saruman, but like the real kind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's I don't know.
There's the malest one of all, Jorgen von Strangle.
Yeah, I don't get that reference. Yeah, moving on.
It's fairly
See,
odd
you're
parents. It's a Nicktoon TV show. It's fine.
Fairly Odd Parents. Come on.
But yes, the acting. The guy who played Bilbo, what's his name? Is it Martin Freeman
It's
or
the
something?
guy who plays Watson, and he's in like a bunch of Doctor Who's, and he's in a bunch of British stuff.
He did an awesome job as Bilbo. And I have to
Oh,
admit,
he's also in a lot of Simon Pegg movies.
I have to admit, going into this, I didn't really know why he looked like it too, because I was looking at him and I was like, looks like Billy Boyd. And then I watched
like
the movie and it's like, oh, that's why he looks like that. Okay. But yeah, I thought he did an exceptional job. Sir Ian McKellen, as always, exceptional job. The dwarfs. The 13 dwarves.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Yes.
I was just gonna say Gandalf. I thought was a little bit too much like comic relief, but I don't think that was his fault. I think that he was like supposed to do that, or that was like mandatory or something for being like written.
Freaking
Gandalf
was the comic relief in this movie, for God's sake.
Yeah, but the thing is, Gandalf was able to be a little comic relief because you knew that even though he was being a little comic relief, he was trying to keep the tone because he knew that shit was not good. He knew the minute Bilbo had that damn ring,
like
he knew the minute shit hit the fan.
But especially like, at the table, they're discussing the necromancer and like the sword that shouldn't exist and stuff. There was like too much comic relief for that serious like scenario of holy crap, something really bad could happen. But that's like besides the point.
True.
Anyway, his acting was really good. Besides that,
that might have also had something to do with the tone of the books. I mean, I've never read the book, but I would imagine that they probably didn't stray too far from it for most of it. I could be wrong.
Well, the book, certain parts, is horribly depressing.
Mm-hmm.
So don't like underestimate it. Think that it won't go there because it will.
Well, I imagine
it's like Joss Whedon. Your favorite characters are not safe.
Yes.
Yeah. Martin Freeman is Bilbo's name.
Okay, so I had to get the name right. Woo! But yeah, he did a great job. Most of the dwarves did a good job. I was kind of taken aback by the fact that a lot of the dwarves are skinny. I'm like, shouldn't they be kind of squat?
Well, the only thing about that is there were the 2 younger dwarves, Killy and Philly, who have the excuse of being like teenage almost dwarves, like really young dwarves. So that's their excuse for like looking more like kind of elvish or more human. But the other one should have like looked like dwarves, and I felt like that was a little odd, especially Thorian Oakshield. Like he kind of didn't. He kind of looked more human, other than the fact that he was short.
Okay, first, I think Radagast gets a pass because he's a former doctor. He was the 7th Doctor.
What? Oh, I never saw the classic Who.
He was the 7th Doctor.
Which Doctor was he? What was the name? I mean his trademark.
I don't know. Let's see. 7th Doctor.
And Jim is doing research in the middle of the review, ladies and gentlemen.
7th Incarnation of the Doctor. I don't know.
Sorry. ADD.
I don't know. What do you mean by trademark? I don't know what the hell that means.
Never mind. Okay, it's fine. Whatever. Because just whatever. It's fine.
Whatever.
But yeah, I thought the actor for Thorn Oak and Shield did a great job, despite the fact that that Peter Jackson apparently got fucking lazy with the like with the makeup and the size and all that stuff, like it doesn't seem like he went as far as he did in Lord of the Rings to establish and maintain the illusion of size and to make sure
Yeah.
the characters look like they should have. And that kind of saddened me.
He felt like, yeah.
But the actors did a great job with what they had. My favorite dwarf had to have been Glowing, the father of Gimli, just because, despite the fact he was a little bit skinny, he looked like Gimli, and they bothered to give him the voice of
Which one was
essentially
related? Which one was?
That's
Which
what I
one
was
is
gonna
related?
say too.
Which one is related to Gimli?
Glowing. It's his father, the old guy,
Ah,
the
okay.
white hair, white beard,
The
Yeah.
really old guy with the beard. Okay,
the
cool.
one that sounded like Gimli.
Yeah. Like I like
Okay,
that
fair
too. I was
enough.
gonna mention he really reminded me of Gimli.
And I don't know if
All right.
they asked the actor to do that voice or if they actually got John Rhys Davies to come in and ADR the voice. But he sounded really, really a lot like John Rhys Davies as Gimli. And I thought that was a nice touch because, again, it's supposed to be his father. Again, I've not read the books, so I can't really speak much on the story. I thought the story was good. I'll turn this one over to Geeky Girl since she has, in fact, read the book. And give us your thoughts on the story.
Oh, well, it was pretty much like a lot of parts were really accurate from the book. There was like kind of a slightly deviation with like the trolls and like stuff, and a slight deviation with like obviously the Silmarillion kind of like put in, but otherwise it worked pretty well. I liked how they kind of went even farther and explained like why it's not now, but the future forest is getting darker and more sentient and stuff, and that's all part of the necromancer thing, which does make sense, and because that wasn't really explained in the book as well, which I like because it was like, why is this forest so evil? But that's not even in this movie, so but it was good foreshadowing for what's going to happen in the future, and stuff. And
So, as a quick note, for those who don't know, the voice of Smaug also plays the Necromancer in this movie, which is why he's credited in the first film.
And he's also happens
yeah,
to be played by Benedict Cumberbatch, whom you might also know as the villain for the upcoming Star Trek Into Darkness, as well as Sherlock on the British Sherlock television series.
that's why I'm really gonna look forward to like the second one, because it's like Watson versus Holmes, like Sherlock versus yeah, but it's like just Smaug versus Bilbo, Sherlock versus Holmes. It's like awesome.
Gandalf wins.
Gandalf.
Gandalf wins.
Wizard
It wasn't
Howard.
even.
But, so I can't really think of anything else to mention about the movie. Is there anything else you guys wanted to mention before we go into the final thoughts?
Nope.
Anything?
How is Christopher Lee still acting?
It's Christopher Lee.
Yeah,
The force is strong with him.
Clearly, but I was watching that scene in fucking Elrond's whatever table room,
Yes.
and fucking like I couldn't decide if he was like gonna like fall over and break all of his bones, or if he was gonna like whip a staff out and fucking kill everybody in the room.
No. If he whipped anything out to kill people in the room, it would be his red lightsaber.
Touche.
But yes, and speaking of Elrond, actually, I kind of wanted to mention him for a second, Mr. Hugo Weaving. I thought he did a great job in the movie, and I was actually surprised that we got to see a different side of Elrond in this movie. It was almost like a different character to the one in The Lord of the Rings. When in The Lord of the Rings, he was completely deadly serious and all doom and gloom. This one, the first time you see him when he rides on the horse, he's cracking a damn smile. I'm like, wait, really? Elrond is smiling at Gandalf?
Mm-hmm.
He was a lot happier in this one.
He was.
You could tell.
It's like,
It's
hey,
like
you're
the
a
better
dwarf.
days, because
Come
he
to
even
my
thought.
home. I'm like,
That's probably because he thought, like he mentioned, he thought that like at this point like Sauron's like done for good. We're at peace. Things are pretty awesome.
And he probably just got back from stealing the Tesseract. And Jeff missed
Because
the
he
joke
was Red
completely.
Skull.
yes.
Just because like he was Red Skull in Captain America.
Ah, that's right. Although I do have to ask, does anyone ever use a scroll of identify on Sting?
On what?
On Sting. Sting was the only Elvish weapon not identified in the movie by Elrond.
Oh,
What the hell was
the thing, the
Sting?
reason for that is that it doesn't really like have a name yet, and Bilbo himself names it Sting because he
Ah,
uses it.
okay, I didn't know that.
So
Oh,
they
that
said
sword.
about the whole each sword had a special name because of a battle, an epicness that it went
Right.
through. Well, his sword is
Mm.
going through the epicness in the battle now, so he's going to name it for his battle that he's going through.
Hmm. Oh, by the
Because it's
way,
his story being told.
awesome. Yeah, by the way, since I
Yes.
mentioned him earlier, I should mention him now so we can talk about him. The Goblin King. What the fuck?
Ballsack beard.
Seriously, they gave him a ballsack chin and made him sound like a stand-up comedian?
He really was kind of like awkward and and stuff, and I was kind of like, I was like, what are we gonna do with this guy? Like, seriously. And you know how like most, I just couldn't help but thinking like any villain in any movie, it's like we're just gonna stand here, talk, not kill you, and yep, just gonna keep doing that. Like, I was like, yeah, okay.
I mean, seriously, when they dropped down there, the Goblin King, so I was like, oh, Goblin King, awesome, this is Goblin Town, we're gonna see some awesome fighting. And then the ballsack chin dropped, I was like, okay, I can deal with that. I think it looks dumb, but I could deal with that. And then he opened his mouth, and it was all I could do to stop from laughing, because at that moment,
he
all I
kind
could think
of
of was Simon.
he kind of reminded me of like Oogie Boogie from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
There you
Like a
go.
little bit, like how much of his villain style, if you want to go there, like needlessly complicated and not really working out for him.
Hmm. Here's a fun fact: the Great Goblin was portrayed or voiced, I guess, you CGI by Barry Humphries,
Who's that?
whom you might know better if you're familiar with one Dame Edna.
Really?
Nope.
Yeah.
What's that?
That would explain the voice. Wow. Okay, so I wasn't too off the mark when I thought of our big gay audience.
Yeah, alter egos Dame Edna Everidge and Sir Les Patterson. So there you go.
Wow. Like, I have the Oaken Shield, and he's like totally fabulous.
Pretty much.
Yeah, just the goblin.
Fabulous.
Just it took you out of the danger they were supposed to be in. It took you out of the seriousness, and not in a good way. Hey,
His
There's another.
eyes are pretty freaky. Like they
Yeah,
kind of reminded me how golems are, but golems are supposed to be like that because he's like, this subhuman creature now. But, like the goblin's eyes were just going all over the place. Like it was pretty crazy.
I will admit I laughed when Gandalf killed him. When he's like, "Yeah, what are you gonna do? Whooshink, whooshink. That'll do it."
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I just feel like he was kind of a waste because he was just killed like pretty instantly. It didn't take much, and it's like, wow, how did you
yeah.
even become king? Okay,
He became king by
like
being
I'm
the
thinking,
biggest.
I guess so, but like that wouldn't make you good in battle. You'd be fat and weak, and I don't think that's all muscle. And
Well, look at anything in fantasy fiction. The king is always fat and stupid. In any fantasy, the king is fat and stupid. That's how all fantasy
yes.
stuff works.
And speaking of characters that shouldn't have been comedic characters but was, let's talk about Gollum. Gollum.
I loved him. Oh my
He was
God,
okay.
no,
He
I
was
loved him.
funny. I'll
Everything
give him
about
that.
him is wonderful.
I did laugh, especially when he was like, "It's like shut up." It's like, "What did you say?" And he pops up, "Not talking to you."
It's like because like that was like that's my favorite part of the book. So I was kind of squeed during the whole scene because it's like all the riddles and stuff
Yeah,
and
she
Goblin.
squeezed all the riddles. She was like pulling her legs up and
Yeah.
like pawing herself
So
like a cat and shit.
I'm a
Nice.
kitty. So what? Anyway, because the riddles and stuff, and then while they didn't include all of the riddles, which I feel like if it was 3 hours, it could have because it's 3 hours. But like I really liked how they told all the riddles, how they showed the thinking, the process, the whole emotions, and then well, another part that I think it kind of like sort of missed how they entered the what's in my pocket riddle was, see, like in the book, at least how I read it, but I'm pretty sure like in the book it was pitch black, so when he was just feeling around he kind of felt the ring and it was smooth and he put it in his pocket, didn't even think about it, and he forgot about it. So while he was thinking of the next riddle and he's going through his pockets all nervous and stuff, and then he's like, what do I have in my pocket, because he's trying to think of riddle, and he just said that to himself, like, because he didn't know, because it was pitch black, the whole thing is pitch black. So like that's how that happened, and I don't know, I just felt like it would have been better like that way, but you can't like show it because it's pitch black, and I get that, but that would have made more sense onto the what's in my pocket question.
I think one thing that this movie suffered from is the fact that it came out after The Lord of the Rings. Because from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Geeky Girl, but isn't The Hobbit supposed to be a lighter-hearted story than The Lord of the Rings?
I
To a degree?
guess. Like, I always see the happier times are happier, but the dark times are, I'd say, equally as dark.
Right. But I mean, like, for instance, the
Because
character of Gollum, you said Gollum was pretty much spot on for this one, which means he's probably a lighter character in this movie, which works if you see or read this one first. But if you see this one or read this one after The Lord of the Rings, it kind of throws you off, because Gollum in Lord of the Rings is completely depressing stuff. Yeah, you see the innocence of stuff, but for the most part, he's this dark, conniving little bitch that just wants his ring back.
he can be dark, but see, going through the riddles, because he used to be a hobbit, so going through the riddles is bringing him back to the memories, and he still has all the memories of when he was a hobbit,
Right.
and when his grandmother used to take care of him and stuff, and like with his brother, and like that was bringing the telling of the riddles was bringing him back to a lighter time when he used to have humanity and love riddles and stuff, and he's actually for a brief moment in time speaking to someone who is real and not in his brain, so that makes him even happier to have company who like also likes telling riddles.
Yeah, but in
For a
doing
brief
that,
moment he could almost
true. But in doing that, in
but
my
he is
opinion,
genuinely
it
dark.
makes him less of a threat. In Lord of the Rings, despite despite the points where he's like, leave now and never come back, and he becomes Schmeagol again, he's still a viable threat. You still see him as a threat. He could be a threat. Whereas in this one, when he's sitting there joking with Bilbo and stuff, I'm sorry, I can't take him seriously as a threat.
Well,
And that
you
kind
have
of
to know
disappointing me
that
because I
like he
love
can
the
snap
character
at
of
any
Gollum.
moment.
What's that?
Like, because you're carrying like the illusion or the bringing him back to his like happier days when he's human, but like if you wait like if you waited too long for the riddle or stuff, like you're on a like a very very fine edge, like because if you mess up one step it'll like ruin the illusion and he'll go back to being evil. So I felt like very like cautious about that, like how he's stepping on a fine line between happy and like about to eat you, and
You stole it.
That's actually a pretty good
Princess.
voice there, Jim. But yeah, again, that just goes back to what I was saying about that. I think this movie suffers from basically having come out after the Lord of the Rings trilogy, just because for those like me who have never read the books, all we know of is the movies, and so we're already going in with preconceptions of the world of Middle Earth, especially based on what they said happened, in the prologues and stuff before, what happened before the Lord of the Rings. You're expecting this to be completely depressing and stuff, and then all of a sudden you have fucking Ballsack Chin King, and you have Gollum cracking jokes, and you're just like, wait, what? I can't take this
well,
seriously.
in all fairness, the
Well, that's
depressing part is probably going to be, I think, maybe in the next movie,
yeah. She
because
said
the
the
most
second movie is
depressing
gonna be the
part,
most Yeah, she said the second movie is
because
gonna be the most depressing
well,
thing you've ever seen in your life,
if
apparently.
I'm correct, the second part probably will be with the forest, because they have to get to the forest to get to Smog, and that, like, for me personally, was the most depressing part, like, because like spoiler if you haven't read The Hobbit. um and then when they go into the forest, like they can't see anything. They're like starving. They're having dinners of dreams. Gandalf has left them. It's mostly dark. They lose their way. They're thinking about like they have Bilbo go up on top of the tree where he can't even see nothing of it. You just see a forest and he doesn't know that they're almost on the way out. They're hopelessly depressed. They're thinking of just giving up and turning back. They're just thinking, oh, we should just sit here and die. So that's when it gets like really nitty gritty, like depression and like stuff, and it just kills you to read it.
I want to see this movie. And let's hope they keep it in, because the most depressing part of Harry Potter for me, yeah, they decided, you know what, we're not going to put it in the movie because it doesn't revolve around Harry. I'm like, who cares? It's missing the point of the book. But anyway,
Wait, which part was that?
Goblet of Fire? Well, we'll talk about
They
it.
missed a Goblet of Fire.
After the review. Yeah, but you should expect that you're gonna get a first in a prequel trilogy that makes no sense, because that's what happened when George Lucas waves his money dick around and challenges Peter Jackson to match it.
Yeah, and
I'm
also another
sorry,
thing.
but Peter Jackson wins by far. Despite
Another
what I
thing,
don't like this movie, it's 10 times the movie Episode 1 is. I'm sorry. And by the way,
absolutely.
Peter Jackson used Christopher Lee better. So suck on that, Lucas.
Yeah, plus this didn't physically hurt me in ways that I can't explain. So it's not compared to episode 1. But anyway, I also I just want to mention I played the Hobbit video game for GameCube, which came out after Lord of the Rings, way before this movie was even like conceptualized. And I think they incorporate, I don't know if they've ever played the game or they've ever seen some, but I felt like some of the stuff they put in the game was similar to the movie and stuff about like him being a burglar and like going around and just stuff like that. And it just reminded me of that. I don't know if they've ever took ideas from that or just coincidence.
I'm sure Peter Jackson draws from everything. I mean, he even said in Lord of the Rings, he drew inspirations from every version of Lord of the Rings ever, from the Bakshi cartoons to, hell, he had, who was the artist? John Howe and the other guy. He had them both on staff doing the art for the movie. So he drew inspiration from everything and everyone related to Tolkien's work.
Are you talking about that Canadian cartoon that was on Nick Jr. when I was a kid?
New movie.
Yeah.
The animated movie.
You mean the
back
Hobbit
in the 80s?
You mean the animated Hobbit movie, the one where like all the elves look like trolls?
Yeah. Is there not an animated Hobbit cartoon series that aired on Nickelodeon in the early
Well, I don't know
90s?
about the cartoon, but I mean the animated Hobbit movie where all like the dwarves' noses were like twice the size of their head.
Yes.
And like
yes.
And everything was like horrifying.
Yes, and where the hobbits were all like frumpy and stuff.
Visually unpleasing.
Yes, but
okay, I just want to make sure
looked
like that was the one you're mentioning.
The bad guys looked bad, and they looked like they would kill your ass.
But the good guys also looked bad, so like it didn't help. When both guys look bad, you don't know who to root for. Like.
Okay, it actually was a film. I don't know why I was thinking it was an actual series. My bad on that.
But yeah, one touch I did like was Bilbo's buttons, when he's like slipping between the cracks and it rips all his buttons off.
That's like in the book where he literally mentions he mentions oh my vest is ruined and my buttons I don't have a single button left in my vest, and it's like he really goes into that and how he misses all those little homey touches and stuff, and I liked how they included that because that's like a mention to the book where he mentions all the homey touches he misses.
We've got to go back. I forgot my handkerchief.
Yeah, that's funny.
I would like to mention also that I have played Lord of the Rings online. I was there for the beta. I am a lifetime member. I haven't played in a while, but that's why I know about the buttons, because they delve more into the lore. It's not really beholden to the movies. And so one of the quests is you have to go down into Goblin Town and actually collect all 10 of Bilbo's buttons.
It's spoiler at the end of the book and everything. What he does is he takes the same vest that he went on the journey and he makes like 9 nice shiny like gold buttons on that same vest. Like he replaces them and stuff and like and that same because buttons are very important to him apparently.
Is there any missions like that in Lego Lord of the Rings?
Well, Lego? I've never played
No.
Lord of the Rings.
Marcus has Lego Lord of the Rings. I was asking him.
No, you don't get to go and take Goblin Town because it's just Lord of the Rings. It's not Lego Tolkien.
No. Yeah,
But moving on, let's talk about the music, which was amazing in this movie. The tune that you hear the dwarves sing in Bag End in the trailer, that is this series equivalent to the Fellowship theme. So I hope you guys, if anyone who wants to watch this movie, I hope you like that song because you're going to hear it a lot. But it does sound awesome because it's a great battle theme. And if those actors are actually like doing the singing and the chanting, holy crap, they have talent because it sounds amazing.
Well, I like when they also do the singing in the kitchen about like burning the corks and stuff. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. I really like that they included that. That made me happy.
I like that song.
See, I love that song too because I thought it was a lighthearted song, but it also showed that despite the fact that they just came in and thrashed his house, they do care and they do respect the fact that it's Bilbo's house. And they respect Bilbo.
I mentioned to Jib that I wanted to use their services for cleaning because dwarves apparently clean up really good. It was kind of ridiculous.
Yep. Yes, they do. I saw in one of the reviews that I read, or a lot of the reviews that I read, that a lot of critics didn't like that song and they thought it was pointless and just not a good place to have the song. I thought it was perfect for the moment for what the reasons I said earlier about, the respect they're showing to Bilbo and the fact that they're like, yeah, we came in, we fucked up your house, let us make it up to you kind of thing. And the fact that it also shows that dwarves are very, very observant because if you listen to the lyrics of the song, they're pointing out things that Bilbo Baggins hates. And they wouldn't have known that picked up on that quickly if they weren't that observant. And I think, especially for the sheer amount of dwarves they have, I noticed there's not a lot of character development. That song, I think, is the primary character development for most of the dwarves. And it works so well. What do you guys think?
I can agree. It's a good song.
Same.
I don't want to say I like the score. I'm not sure. I don't know who composed the score for this. I didn't look, but
Howard Shore, same person.
Oh, they did Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, the same guy.
Okay.
Howard Shore.
It was a good. Like I said, I only saw Lord of the Rings each movie once, and it was years ago. So I was on DVD. I didn't even see it in the theater. But I like the music.
How dare you?
No, the score was good, but this type of score, and at least for some of those jovial scenes where you're like seeing their at a mountain pass or whatever, and they're showing you the landscape. It's that kind of score that I have a love-hate relationship with that score, because they always use that specific Celtic flute that I really love to hear in background scores. But the problem is, because of my previous viewing experiences with films, anytime I hear that Celtic flute, I think a movie's going to turn into Titanic.
Celine Dion will start singing or something.
Exactly. Celine Dion's going to start singing. Like, wait, what? Oh, no, okay.
You know why this particular score has the Celtic flute so prominent, right?
No.
It's because most of the characters are dwarves, so the music that's going to be the most prominent is going to be dwarvish music. And for their version of Middle Earth and the Lord of the Rings Tolkien verse, dwarves are Celtic. Their background is Celtic, so they use Celtic music for dwarvish music. That's why if you listen to like the theme, it's a very Celtic feeling song. It's very like chant and like old and old type music, which is what they're going for.
On a related note to dwarves, is it dwarvish tradition for dwarves to give their children rhyming names?
There's a thing about that in the book, because in the book it shows like the whole line of everyone, and if you notice, like it takes like glowing or like Killiophilia, it takes like they're rhyming and they take like a few letters from the same one and they just slowly change it like throughout, like it's kind of a family kind of thing.
Okay, it's just funny because anytime you hear Thorin or Gandalf going through the roll call, it's like, all right, Dwalin, Balin, Killing, Philly, Dory.
Well, because they're
Nori,
like relatives,
Ori.
they're the family. They're kind of like that's like a family thing. They like match.
Gloin, Gloin.
Snow White totally ripped them off.
Biffer,
No,
Bofer,
Snow White
Bomber.
put them to work. Snow White put them to work, and that's where they learned how to clean up so well.
That makes sense.
Well,
now they just need to stop doing it for free.
Well, they're not doing it for free. They're getting help to get their home back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wouldn't hurt to get a few gold just in compensation just for that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, they did. You did. Didn't you see them ransack the troll cave and hide the gold for later?
Yeah.
Oh,
that was true.
For Geeky Girl, the White Orc on the White Warg is he in the book? The one with
the White Orc? No, I don't remember.
The one-armed dude.
Like, I do not remember anything about a White Orc. It could be like that. Maybe he was like an obscure mentioning of things.
Because I know the
mentioning of things that
part of the universe, but
I don't remember him at all, like in the book at all. I think it's something with the Silverling to tie it together. I don't remember him at all. He may have been like a minor thing that I didn't pay attention to, and then they expanded on that. But I really don't remember him.
Azog was the name of an orc chieftain who lived in Moria from about TA 2480 to 2799. He is referred to in a single remark of Gandalf's in The Hobbit. Quote, "Your grandfather Thror was killed, you remember, in the mines of Moria by Azog the Goblin."
No,
Thank
because
you,
they
Wikipedia.
expanded on it because they needed a villain for the movie.
He precipitated the War of the Dwarves and Orcs in TA 2790 by killing King Thror, who came to revisit the ruins of Khazad-dûm. By not killing Thror, but torturing him for some days, beheading him, and branding his name on the dwarf's head, Azog ensured that he earned the hatred of every dwarf who united in desire to kill him.
Okay.
Jim.
Thank
way-
you, Wikipedia. I mean,
Right.
Could Thranduil be more dickish in this movie?
The dwarves returned the insult by setting Azog's severed head on a stake and sticking a money pouch in its mouth.
Which they'll probably do in the next
okay.
movie.
More
Yes.
likely than not.
But could Thranduil be any more dickish in this movie?
Probably. They probably get increasingly more dickish. Like, but yeah, I'm gonna say yes, because if they're keeping up with like the book and this whole thing as well, and knowing how the ending of the book happens, which I'm not going to say, he probably will, and they're gonna be incorporated in the tragedies and stuff that happened at the end.
Wonderful. Stuff to look forward to.
Huh.
Doom, gloom, and depression.
Azog is also a hero for the goblins in Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2's expansion pack, Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2, The Rise of the Witch King.
Fair enough. You can turn off Wikipedia now.
Excuse me for wanting to be
You
informed.
can make your audiobook later.
This is why I do research
You can make
before
your
I do
audiobook
my
later.
show.
Yeah. All right, Linkara.
He's a man. Punch. Where's the party hat, Linkara?
Oh, Will's going to kill me for that. But anyway, I think that about covers The Hobbit. Let's head on over to the CEO, James Phoenix, for his final thoughts on the movie. Feel free to rage if you wish. I probably will be doing so.
Fair enough. I enjoyed the movie. I liked it. Like I said, I only saw Lord of the Rings films once each on DVD. I never really, I've never been a big Lord of the Rings fan, but I certainly have nothing against it. It's a great story. I do want to read it at some point. Although I've been told by Geeky Girl to be careful with the third book, because apparently they destroy the ring halfway through the book, and then there's half a book of like endings. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed this movie a whole lot. It was very like fast and not like as in the movie was fast paced, but like it didn't seem like it was 3 hours at all, and I could have gone for like another hour or so. But that's just me personally. And the 3D was good, and story was good, and everything generally was a wonderful immersive experience. I pretty much give it. I'm gonna say 9 out of 10.
Wow. High marks.
Wow.
And just wait until Peter Jackson releases the extended edition of this movie. You'll get your extra hour of footage.
Yeah.
Yay!
All right. So I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I had not seen it in 2D, but my recommendation is go see it in 3D, especially if they have it at 48 frames a second. It is a beautiful movie, and in 3D it is immersive, despite what some of the critics have said. I also do believe that the experience could vary depending on the person, because of the eyes and how you see, and whether, it immerses your vision or not. But I think for the most
Also,
part,
the crowd in which you see it.
that too. But I think that on the whole, 3D is the way to go for this movie. It really was beautiful and fluid, and it made you feel like you were in Middle Earth. The music, as I said, was fantastic. The acting was phenomenal. And if you're, a fan of the Lord of the Rings movies, or, Lord of the Rings or Tolkien in general, you owe it to yourself to go see this movie at least once in the cinema. This movie definitely deserves a cinema experience. So I give...
Deserves the big screen.
It does. It deserves it. Especially if you see it in 3D, you have to see it on the big screen. It's the only way to see it.
Yeah.
So I give the movie... I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. It was certainly a very good movie, but it wasn't the greatest. It had its flaws, and I do recognize those. So go out, see the movie, and come up with an opinion for yourself. I've been Marcus Shadow. Yes.
I was going to mention in here. It's not quite an hour. According to this, the Blu-ray and DVD will contain 20 to 25 minutes of extra footage.
Oh well, I'll cope.
Yes.
Expected to be available third quarter 2013.
That makes sense. Yes, as I said, this has been Showtime reviewing The Hobbit. I have been your host, Marcus Shadow, as always showing you the light with my guests, the CEO, James Phoenix, who will, on his show Rise from the Airwaves, once again rise from the ashes. And introducing our newest member, Geeky Girl, reminding you that, yes, in fact, there are women on the internet. Good night, everybody.
I'm a strong black woman. I don't let no man rule me.
We have Medea.
I will now rise from the ashes.
Blunt the knives, bend the forks, smash the bottles and burn the corks. Tip the glasses and crack the plates. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Cut the cloth, trail the fat, leave the bones on the bedroom mat. Pour the milk